For more on the story, let's cross live now to our colleague Mbalenhle Mthethwa. A very good morning to you, Mbalenhle. Just give us a sense of what's happening outside court this morning.
Good morning, Desiree. I'd like to give you a bit of background on Operation Dudula and how it rose to fame. Now, you'll remember some time ago last year where there was a protest and they shut down Dobsonville, where Operation Dudula members went and protested and picketed outside a police station. Now, this was an event that caught media attention, and at the time they were fighting and calling for the release of one of their members after being arrested following one of their operations, which they call Operation Dudula. Now, this organization is a community organization that was set up by various members of former military or military organizations forming part of political parties, your struggle political parties like your MK, Vets and so on, from other political parties such as the PAC and so on. This is just giving you examples. And this was formed and formulated in order to try and remove the social ills that are seen in townships, such as drug abuse and other issues. I remember one of the interviews that I did on that particular day. They spoke about economic opportunities and spoke about the lack thereof and the fact that young people have resorted to taking drugs given to the lack of economic opportunities. And they said that they wanted to have an opportunity to participate in the economy, say, be it through spaza shops, be it through informal trading, whatever it is. And that's when they started going out and trying to go into actually orchestrating or carrying out these Operation Dudulas that they have now become very popular for. We've seen them trending on platforms, social media platforms such as Twitter, when they do go about those operations, where they go to various places and remove informal traders trading in certain areas. Usually these people that they target are undocumented migrants and so on. We understand that they later then went and picketed outside or inside the offices of the MEC for Economic Development, calling for a seat at his table and calling for a meeting where they wanted to also contribute to that township economic development bill that was somewhat tabled before the Gauteng legislature just yesterday. Now, we understand that they also presented a plan where they said that they would like to see government procuring from township businesses, and also called on government to do more with regards to capitalizing small businesses in communities, saying that there is no reason why old spaza shops should die and fall by the wayside, and calling on government to assist local business operators in townships to formalize all of those industries. Now, Nhlanhla Lux, Soweto Parliament's Nhlanhla Lux, rose to fame after he and his group of members went and protected the infrastructure during what we now know as the social unrest that we saw in July. And they protected Maponya Mall, and upon then, that's when he grew to fame and grew in terms of his popularity, grew in leaps and bounds also when he started intervening in local issues such as electricity challenges. You'll remember just in December where Dipkloof residents, Zone 4, did not have electricity for weeks after allegations emerged that an incompetent ESCOM contractor came in the name of implementing or installing prepaid meters and didn't conclude that project. Unfortunately, residents were left without electricity for weeks on end. You saw him leading community members to try and bring attention to the issues regarding electricity and the fact that they are being accused of buying from ghost vendors and so on. You would have seen that it trended quite prominently on social media. He's also been a part of a lot of these Operation Dudula movements, joining them on the weekend operations, which, as you've seen, has gained a lot of popularity. Now, the reason we're here is because just the other weekend they carried out one of their operations where the police were also present, where they went and targeted a home where they believed, which was believed or allegedly believed to be selling drugs, or a drug den, where they went in with police officials and searched the house. After that, we saw EFF coming forward, calling for the arrest of Soweto Parliament leader and putting forward an ultimatum saying that his arrest must be effected within 7 days. They accompanied the resident of that household to open a case in Dobsonville on Wednesday, and we saw clashes, rather, or protests between the two groups, two very popular people in communities. You'll remember that EFF leader Julius Malema also rose to fame by disrupting the politics of the country, calling for land and calling for jobs and calling for economic emancipation, similarly to what Operation Dudula is doing, calling for the economic emancipation of residents and townships and for black South Africans, and calling on law enforcement to act against illegal or rather undocumented migrants, and for the law to take its course, and for those who are here illegally to be for the law to be brought to book. Rather, you would have seen late last night there was a sting operation that was carried out by the Home Affairs Minister together with the Hawks, where in a conversation that didn't make it on air, he said that, you know, Nhlanhla Lux and Operation Dudula would not be as popular as they are if it wasn't for South Africans working together with undocumented migrants and selling their identity in order to legitimize undocumented migrants who come and under the guise of being asylum seekers and refugees, calling on South Africans really to stop doing that and to stop compromising the sovereignty of the country, also putting his foot down, saying that he will be clamping down on such operations. You'll understand that one kingpin with operations in majority of the provinces and various home affairs in the country has been arrested, and we understand that around 8 home affairs officials that have been working hand in hand with these with the syndicate will also be arrested within a matter of days and weeks. This is the information that we confirmed from the minister a little bit earlier on this morning. The arrests were effected as early as 1 a.m. This morning, and you would have seen that interview with Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. So today we are here waiting to hear the outcome of that bail application. It still remains to be seen if he will be granted bail. We haven't seen EFF supporters coming out here. You would expect them to come out here and try to oppose bail or something, or to picket and, you know, to try and call for the state to oppose bail. But it seems as though right now it's just the Operation Dudula movement of members, rather, and some of their leaders who have arrived here to show their support to Soweto Parliament leader Nhlanhla Lux Dlamini. It's back to you in studio.
Mbalenhle, while we have you, you started by talking about the origins of Operation Dudula, and one of the ironies that have come out of this story is that Advocate Ike Khumalo, who was arrested for instigating the July unrest, is representing Nhlanhla Lux, who came to fame by preventing the July unrest. How is this conversation taking place on the ground?
Well, you know, if you look on social media, there are varying views. I mean, some people are for the operations and some are obviously against it, and calling it somewhat hypocritical of the Soweto Parliament leader to then call for the protection of infrastructure and also be part of an organization that somewhat causes disruption and discomfort in certain communities, turning over tables in informal trading centers, at taxi ranks, at bar stations in the CBD, in places like Hillbrow and so on. So those are some of the conversations that people have had. I mean, it seems as though, you know, South Africans are split on their views or on how they view Operation Dudula or Nhlanhla Lux himself, really. So the jury is still out. It's just unclear. It's a bit confusing for South Africans at this stage. But I have have to say, before I hand back to you, if you speak to residents on the ground, and I can say this because I've covered a number of stories in Soweto pertaining to service delivery, pertaining to electricity challenges and so on. And because he goes to the ground and he speaks to people man to man, and he seems like one of their own, it seems as though residents have really warmed up for him. And you'll find that some women or some elderly women in the community are more willing to talk about their concerns and their issues to him more than they are to talk to the media and everyone else. Most of the time we've had to rely on him in order to get into to get into the homes of some residents. So it seems as though he struck the chord, and while the jury's still out on social media and the views are split there, some community members in Soweto are happy with the work that they are doing as Soweto Parliament, as well as Operation Dudula. Back to you in studio.
Mbalenhle Mthethwa is outside the Roodepoort Magistrate's Court.